She was not a goddess of glory, not a warrior, not a savior. Hell ruled the forgotten, the shamed, the dead no one sang for. You may have heard her name before, but do you know who she is? Let me tell you about 5 chilling facts about Hel, Queen of the Dead. Hel was not a goddess of glory, not a warrior, not a savior. Hel ruled the forgotten, the shamed, the dead no one sang for. No trumpets blared when she rode across the fields of the underworld. No hymns echoed through the great halls of her domain. She was feared, yes, but that was not the same as respect. Hel was a chthonic deity, which means she was associated with the dead and the realm of the dead. But let's be clear here, because the word chthonic has another definition too. It also means gloomy, dark, even sinister. And so it is with Hel. She was cast into the underworld by Odin himself. One day, Odin, god of wisdom and magic and death, was brewing a potion. What kind of god doesn't like his potions, you ask? Well, they weren't always pleasant to drink, to say the least. But this particular concoction was meant to bring back Balder from the dead. Yes, that Balder, the son of Odin, the most beloved of the Aesir, whose death was so sad that even the gods wept for him. And what better person to ask for help than the all-knowing, all-seeing Odin? He brewed his best magic, ground up potent ingredients, stirred the mixture in a cauldron over a magical fire. But there was something missing. There was an ingredient that he couldn't seem to put his finger on, and the whole brew was rather bland without it. So he sent out a messenger to find someone who was both dead and alive, someone who had a taste of both worlds, a being who could provide just the right flavor for his potion. Who else but Hel, daughter of Loki, queen of the underworld, was both dead and alive. Though she wasn't called Hel at the time. She took on the form of a beautiful woman and traveled to Asgard, home of the Aesir. And as soon as she stepped foot on the golden streets, Odin knew this was the ingredient he was looking for. But how did he get her to agree to help him? You know, she was the queen of the underworld. She was busy. Well, let's just say Odin was very persuasive. And once he had her in his clutches, he forced her to drink the potion. In doing so, she became forever bound to the world of the living, which we would call Earth. But this arrangement was less than ideal for her. I mean, she was stuck between 2 worlds, neither fully one nor the other. So she retreated to the underworld where she was free from her father's grasp. Later, she would take on the name Hel, the name given to her by the people who revered her as a goddess. And she ruled the land of the dead with a cold, steady hand. Her body was half alive, half rotting. Some sources say she was half giant, half goddess. Perhaps that's where she got this look of hers. Her face was pale as ash, her hair the color of a corpse flower. Her eyes were like the first ice of winter, and when she walked, the ground shook as if an earthquake had just passed. So maybe don't try to make nice with her. Okay, maybe don't insult her, because if she didn't like you, she could send your soul down to the underworld just like that. But the truth is, Hel wasn't exactly heartless. She just had no choice but to follow the natural order. Think about it. If Hel were to start pulling people from their beds in the middle of the night and dragging their souls down to the underworld, well, that wouldn't be following the natural order now, would it? The natural order was that life ended when your time was up. When your soul left your body, it went to Hel, whether you liked it or not. Hel wasn't some grim reaper figure who cut people's lives short. She was simply the one who collected those that had reached their natural end. Her realm was cold, silent, and inescapable. We already know that Hel's realm was the underworld. But what did that actually look like? Well, according to the poem Vulasp, a Hasstablik, or the prophecy of the seeress, when Hel rides across the fields of the underworld, the grass withers beneath her. The birds fall silent. All animals run away. The wolves stop howling. The snakes turn to ice. Everything stops when she appears. She brings the silence. Now, of course, you might think that this is just poetic license. a way of saying that things were super, mega quiet in the underworld. But if you think about it, these things aren't just going silent, they're actively dying around hell, turning to ice, or running away in fear. The implication is that hell isn't just the queen of the dead, she's also the harbinger of death. She doesn't just rule over the dead, she also causes death itself. And if you can cause death, then you're pretty powerful. So perhaps the silence of her realm isn't just a lack of sound, it's a lack of everything, a void that swallows light, life, hope, even time. In hell's realm, there are no windows to look out of because there's nothing to see. No clocks to tell the time because time doesn't exist. There are no birds to sing to you because they're frozen solid. There's nothing but the cold embrace of death, and it's inescapable. For those who enter, there's no hope of leaving. You might think this sounds depressing. And sure, you'd probably feel depressed if you were trapped in this eternal silence. But it was the perfect place for hell. She wasn't a goddess of joy or rebirth. She was a goddess of endings, of deaths, of goodbyes. And sometimes, the best way to say goodbye is to say nothing at all. Even the gods feared her power over the dead. If you've been watching our videos for any length of time, then you know that the gods weren't exactly the nicest, kindest beings in the world. Sure, they brought humans things like civilization, language, the wheel, agriculture, and every so often a hero would come along to save everyone from some monster. But mostly they seem to like making trouble for mortals, just for kicks, just for fun. Like, remember when Thor pretended to be a servant and made the sons of Ivaldi work for him by tricking them? Or when Loki killed Balder by throwing a dart made of mistletoe at him? That was fun. I remember. Or when Freya, the goddess of love, was taken captive by the giants and forced to be their thrall. Oh yeah, that was totally awesome. Yeah, sure, Thor came to rescue her, but only after he got drunk off of some giant mead. It was really more about the mead than saving Freya. But you get the point. The gods were selfish, petty, vindictive beings, and yet even they knew when to keep their distance. If the other gods had any problems, any issues that needed resolving, you know who they sent for? Hell. When Freya was taken captive by the giants, who did she beg for help? Not Thor, not Odin, not Balder, Hell. This shows you just how much the other gods respected her power because they knew that while she might not be able to fight in battle or charm a spear into existence or make the grass grow, she could raise the dead. And while you might think that that sounds like something you'd only do as a last resort, the gods weren't shy about using Hell's powers for any number of reasons. After all, if you have the power to raise the dead, then it doesn't really matter why you do it. So next time you're in Asgard and you hear a bunch of the gods laughing loudly, like they're having a good time, you should probably keep walking. Don't go investigating. Just get out of there. In Ragnarok, she rises with the army of the damned. You may have heard of Ragnarok, the doom of the gods, the twilight of the gods, or the sons of Noru, depending on which source you read. Basically, it's when all the Norse gods are killed in a massive battle, ushering in a new age of peace and prosperity for the human world. But I'm not here to talk about the gods today. I'm here to talk about Hell. You see, in some versions of Ragnarok, Hell takes center stage. In Snorri Sturluson's Edda, he describes the return of the big bad snake, Jormungandr, the Midgard serpent which will swallow the sun and plunge the earth into darkness. It also lets loose a deadly poison that kills everyone on Earth except for 3 humans who will go on to repopulate the world. And what does Hell do during all this chaos? Well, she comes out of her realm, riding a chariot pulled by 8 zombie horses. She leads an army of the undead, the liches, the Draugr, the revenants, and she raises the dead humans of all 9 worlds to join her side. So why does she do this? Is she evil? Well, that depends on your definition of evil. Most people would probably say that raising an army of the dead to kill everyone on Earth is pretty evil. But if you think about it, she's just doing what she's always done, collecting the dead. And sure, she is helping out the big bad snake here, but that doesn't mean she's necessarily evil. She just doesn't take sides. She doesn't care about good or evil, only the dead. In fact, in another version of Ragnarok, she's actually on the side of good, sort of. In the poem Voluspa, Hastablik, I mentioned earlier, Hel helps Vidar, son of Odin, who was raised by wolves and therefore had a bone to pick with all wolves everywhere. Together they lead the forces of good against the forces of evil. So, maybe she's not evil, just unavoidable. Hell wasn't evil, she was inevitable. The part of death no one wants to face, because it doesn't end in glory. Subscribe for more echoes of the past.